What is up, everybody? What is going on? Welcome to That Guy's Wrestling Podcast. I am that guy. I'm here to talk a little WWE wrestling. It is an interesting time. We are on our way to Summer Slam, and you know what? I'm actually pretty excited for it. I don't know what your thoughts are, what your feelings are on the pay-per-view that's coming up, but I'm kind of excited, and here's why. One of the biggest flaws and faults that WWE has had, honestly, over the last few to several years, is the predictability aspect of it. And oftentimes, you can just map out, as a fan, the path from one storyline to another, or one belt to another, and it becomes, just very predictable. A lot of that has to do with, you being able to find out backstage and back news information. A lot of it has to do with just, for some of us that have been fans for a long time, just kind of being able to see and predict what's going to happen. But this year, it for SummerSlam at least, it does seem like there's a lot of the matches that, have had really good build, and a lot of them aren't very predictable. And so, it really is, it is exciting in that aspect. Even a match as simple, non-title match, Seth Rollins versus Dominic Mysterio. So here we go. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about the build to this match. I mean, they've been building this storyline, this match for several months. I mean, Seth Rollins has mostly been feuding with Dominic's father, but, inadvertently, they've had Dominic enter in, and he's been part of it, and he's been around, he's been in the ring, he's gotten physical, he's gotten verbal, and so he recently was able to, on TV, sign his official WWE contract. And I will say, it did sort of seem like they were leaning this direction, but even as they built this rivalry up, as they built towards this, was it going to be a tag match? Was it going to be the Mysterios versus Rollins and Buddy Murphy? Was it going to be Dominic and Aleister Black versus Rollins and Murphy? You weren't really quite sure how they were going to do this, and it's interesting, and people are going to have their opinions on Dominic because he's just riding the name, didn't do the NXT route. Didn't have to build his name and his career up on the independent circuit. So we as fans have no idea. I mean, like I said, we've seen him punch, we've seen him tackle, we've seen him swing a kendo stick, but we have no idea what he is like in the ring. Now, obviously they do. They've trained, they've seen him, they've worked with him secretly. You know what I mean? Like, we don't, and so they obviously feel confident in him because at this time it's one-on-one. It is Dominic Mysterio making his in-ring debut against Seth Rollins. And so, theoretically, a young rookie making his in-ring debut should have no chance against an experienced veteran, a former world champion, one of the better wrestlers of this era in Seth Rollins. So, you might think, all right, Seth Rollins has this. But, that being said, Dominic is clearly the underdog, and there is a long history of Dominic. Of the underdogs, overcoming adversity, and so I could see this match going a multitude of ways. I can see both of them winning, and that's what I talk about when it comes to the unpredictability of it. And you might think to yourself, oh yeah, I think so and so is going to win. I got this. I can see a reasonable way for both of them to win. So Dominic is allowed to use weapons of sorts. He does have that, and then of course there's any possibility of him doing some kind of getting a beat down throughout most of the match, and then a surprise roll up at the end. There's the possibility of Ray coming to help him, of Samoa Joe coming to help him, of Aleister Black coming to help him. So there is, storyline wise, it makes sense for any one of these people to come help him. Storyline wise, it makes sense for him to overcome and pull out a victory, and and make him look strong, starting his career. That being said, same thing for Seth Rollins. He's better. He's more experienced. He should win this match. He's got Buddy Murphy on the outside, even with the weapon. You can have Dominic deliver, blow after blow, beating after beating, beating them both up, weapon after weapon, and then one stomp, and Seth wins, and they both look strong, in doing so. The way I would do it, honestly, is I'm hoping that Samoa Joe is medically cleared, and I hope that he comes out and he appears to be willing to help Dominic, and then actually chokes Dominic out, sides with Seth Rollins, and joins the Monday Night Messiah and Buddy Murphy. Samoa Joe's a great commentator. I would like him back in the ring. I think he could end up being a full-time commentator someday, but I'm hoping that time is not now. But again, either way, I'm very intrigued by the match. The build-up has been good. The build-up has been long, and it can definitely go both ways. On SmackDown, we'll kind of go back and forth from show to show. We've got this feud, this Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt feud that also has been built up long term. It has been built up month after month, and we're kind of twisting it around. It sort of seems like maybe they're turning Braun Strowman slightly heel. Maybe, is that a ruse? Is he going to join the Fiend, or is he going to trick him the way that he did? During their first match when he was fighting Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt. Now, again, theoretically, as fans, we kind of when they started this rivalry and we saw that the first time they were going to fight, we were getting normal Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt. Our predictability brains, the bell went off in my head that said, oh, well, that makes sense. Braun needs the win. Let's have him win for a month, maybe two, some kind of stretch it out, and then the Fiend will be the one that actually wins the title back, because you want to keep the Fiend character strong. But what if they don't? What if they do swerve? What if Braun does get the win? What if they really put Braun over? I mean, they've added Alexa Bliss to this storyline. What if she helps him? What if they join together? There's a lot of what ifs. They're really, again, nobody does it better than WWE when it comes to turning it on and turning it up when they have to. They do it every year for WrestleMania season. They do it somewhat for Summer Slam, for Survivor Series. They know when the big pay-per-views are. They know when the big time is, and then they kind of they step up their game a little bit. Then they coast. And they've done a lot of coasting. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They have coasted quite a bit, and a lot of that has to do with the pandemic. The lack of fans, the missing wrestlers, but just, overall in general, yeah, they've done a lot of coasting, but they are, I really do think they are turning it up and around either way. So while I think, if I had to bet on it, I would say that this is the Fiend's time. Again, they booked him. They're been slightly inconsistent with his booking. He should have beat Seth Rollins the first time, but didn't, and lost, and then won, and then was dominant for a while. And then all of a sudden he lost to Goldberg and went away. So he should, I would think, win the title, but I could very much see some kind of swerve, some kind of change, some kind of something where Braun Strowman retains. And that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see when they set up a match. They set up a title match. They set up a big match. I want to go in not knowing that, oh, this person's guaranteed to win. I want there to be somewhat of a chance for both sides, and because that's what creates the drama. That's what creates the excitement. And so, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that. Now, the next two matches, I'm going to kind of lump them together because one of them is already set. The other one is not quite set. And I've been kind of harping, somewhat anti, on Sasha and Bayley and their booking, and the dominance that they've had as women's, in the women's division. It really has kind of lowered the entire division in general. It's kind of made everybody else, with the exception of Asuka, look weak. And even then, the booking when she lost the title to Sasha made her look kind of incompetent. It was meant to make her look caring, going after Kairi Sane, but Kairi Sane's a wrestler. She was getting beat up by another wrestler. You don't walk out on a world title match. It's just not what you do. So that being said, every time Sasha and Asuka have gotten in the ring together, their matches, for the most part, have been really good. What hasn't been good is the way they've ended the matches, the way they've booked the ending, the way they've had a false finish, the way they've had Asuka Braun, whatever the case may be. I'm hoping to get a decisive victory one way or another. But again, Asuka's the only woman at the moment, without some serious build, that really can win one of these titles. So I definitely could see her doing that. That being said, they really have decided that Sasha and Bayley are just going to keep running that division. So it wouldn't surprise me either way if Sasha retained. Now, Bayley doesn't, at the time that I'm recording this, doesn't have an opponent yet. I am intrigued to see who that opponent will be. We've been promised some kind of triple threat battle royal something or another, that involves Raw, SmackDown, and NXT women. So who knows who the opponent could be? I'll try and touch on it as we get closer. Maybe doing a live video before the actual Summer Slam show, but they don't have a lot of women who realistically can be put in this match. I mean, they brought Mickie James back, but she seems to be feuding with Natalya and Lana. They have Lacey Evans, they have Naomi, they have a bunch of women, especially on SmackDown, who just have been booked so poorly. So no matter who it is, I don't feel confident that they're going to be able to beat her. Now, they've slightly started to try and build Nia Jax a little bit stronger, and then they sort of suspended her. They're theoretically trying to rebook Shayna Baszler, but then they kind of had her in the Raw Underground. So they really have, done a negative disservice to a lot of the women in that division. Rhea Ripley in NXT was hot as can be, and then they just kind of stopped and they canceled and they cut her booking. So it's really a shame that that's the case. I am intrigued to see who they decide to I'm hoping that it does lead to something interesting or exciting. But that being said, it would not surprise me at all if Sasha and Bayley walked out of SummerSlam still holding all of the gold. Now, there's before we get to what will be the main event, we'll talk about some of the other title matches that they have announced at this time. We've got the Street Profits and Andrade and Angel Garza. The tag team division on Raw is really talented. They've just been very repetitive. The Street Profits are really good. Andrade and Angel Garza are very, very good. I've been really surprised with how good Angel Garza has been. I mean, he just has that thing, that it factor. He has very quickly rose in the ranks. He showed up in NXT and very quickly was the cruiserweight champion, and then they called him up because they needed him, and he has not looked lost at all. He looks like he deserves to be there. This rivalry has gotten personal. They've gotten Selena Vega and Bianca Belair involved, so they're really spending some time working with this rivalry. The rest of the tag division, like I said, they have talent. They've got the War Raiders. They've got Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. We've been kind of getting the same back and forth of these matches. I think the Street Profits are going to win, but again, it wouldn't surprise me if we had new tag team champions. The Street Profits are almost better when they're chasing. They're better. And that happens with a lot of good guys, a lot of faces. They do a good job chasing, and that's what you want. You want them chasing, and you want that payoff of when they capture the gold. So again, it sticks with my theme though of this SummerSlam where the matches could go either way. We have Apollo Crews versus MVP. Now, they have done well trying to rebuild and give Apollo Crews an actual chance. He got called up way too early. He wasn't really ready for the big shows when the main roster. He hadn't really done much of anything in NXT, and then he showed up and for years didn't really do much of anything on Raw or SmackDown. They're finally giving him a little bit of chance to shine. He's doing fine. He's not dropping the ball. He's not excelling. He's just kind of doing fine. MVP, on the other hand, on the mic is great, and they are, he's running the Hurt Business with Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, and so it wouldn't surprise me if they flip-flopped and gave him that title back and put that title back into the Hurt Business to try and kind of continue their little bit of a push they are getting. But again, at the same time, I could totally see Apollo Crews overcoming and them trying to stick with the Apollo Crews as champion. It did appear for a week like the Hurt Business might be taking over the Raw Underground, which I want to kind of pause my SummerSlam talk for a minute because I do want to address the Raw Underground. I'm intrigued. There's definitely potential for it. I do hope that they have a bit of a plan. Like, what I mean? They seem to. It's nice that they have this like added angle, this added thing. It's allowing others to shine, but as long as they don't just kind of like throw them out there for a week and let a guy shine, let Riddick Moss or Arturo Rua shine for a week and then they disappear and you never see them again. There needs to be some kind of goal or some kind of end plan. And I thought for a hot minute that the Hurt Business was going to take it over and do something along those lines. There's potential for Shayna Baszler. They kind of started bringing some of the women in. There's potential for her to come in. So it definitely has a future. It definitely has some potential and some possibilities. I just hope that they follow through with it. So like I said, I'm intrigued. I don't want to bash it. I don't want to praise it. I do like when they try new things. I just hope they follow through with it. All right. So that's my current take on Raw Underground. All right. I want to wrap this up, but I want to talk about the main event, about how good Randy Orton has become is again right now. Drew McIntyre has had, a pretty solid run as the champ. He did not get the opportunity to win this title in front of a giant WrestleMania crowd, but he has really revitalized his career. He has done a wonderful job, that being, with his run so far. He has looked every bit dominant. He has looked every bit good. He's been solid on the mic. Except for that promo that he and Randy Orton had a couple weeks ago on Raw, it was amazing. The shots that they took back and forth at each other, the realism that they allowed them to bring into this rivalry, it is good. Like, Drew McIntyre was spot on with everything that he said about Randy Orton, about the chances he's got, the golden, ticket he has of just being able to. He was able to walk into the business and screw up over and over again, and how he hasn't really helped anybody else out. And from that perspective, from a fan perspective, it sure seemed like he was dead on. I mean, and they were going back and forth at each other, and that's what it takes, honestly, to make a great promo. You think about some of the greatest ones in history, and the greatest back and forth, the greatest, promos. A lot of times there is an element of realism involved, and you give the wrestlers a chance to really to go at each other personally, and it really adds to a feud. And so while Drew McIntyre has been the probably the best good guy, the best face of 2020. Randy Orton has been the best heel in the company and probably the best heel in the world right now. And I've said for years that I've been on the Randy Orton is a top 10 wrestler of all time, and at first glance, like, depending on what time of year you say that, you might sound like a crazy person. And he certainly, I don't think he can go any higher than where he is right now. Wherever we have him on this list, wherever you have him, wherever I have him, unless you have him somewhere ridiculously low because you just don't like him personally, that's on you. But he's not Hogan, he's not Flair, he's not Cena, he's not Austin, he's not Rock. And then, then like after you kind of get to those five and you got Taker, you got Michaels, you got Triple H, and Orton, he is right in there in that category. He's right outside that top 5 and that top 10. And, again, some of you might be laughing at me thinking I'm crazy, but think about let's start with just the accomplishments. I mean, at this time, he's a 14-time and potentially 15-time world champion. Okay. That in itself, warrants a real discussion. You've got to be good and you've got to be talented to get that many championship runs. His rivalries, some of the rivalries he's had over the years have just been, top notch. He's won the Royal Rumble twice. He's won the Money in the Bank match. He's just, his RKO, his finisher is just, I know it's basically a more advanced diamond cutter, but the RKOs, like some of the RKOs he has hit over the years are just highlight worth. Like he's got so many highlights just of those, which is turned into memes, which is turned into Instagram videos. It's kind of went above and beyond. And if you think about it, I mean, he came in as part of that class with Batista, who is retired and making movies, with John Cena, who is pretty much retired and making movies. Like, he came in during that Ruthless Aggression Attitude Era. I mean, Ruthless Aggression Era, just after the Attitude Era. And he doesn't look any bit older. He doesn't look any slower. He doesn't look like he's ready to stop, He came in. I mean, he was fighting The Rock and Foley at WrestleMania 20, and given the chance to try and end the streak at WrestleMania 21. And that was 17 years ago, and he's still going strong. He's got many more years to add to his career, his legacy. And that was, he had his own group legacy. He was part of Evolution. He was part of some great tag teams. So the thing with Randy Orton, and the thing that will never allow him, like I said, he'll never get any higher than where I have him on that list. And I haven't really honestly sat down to make that list, but when when you think about wrestling greats, wrestling names of all time, he's in that discussion, like I said, of that top 10, because, but he'll never get any higher because he does coast, and we all know that. And he does take time. He takes months where he's there. He's not bad. He's there. He doesn't turn it up. But when he does, and maybe that's what makes him so good. Or maybe that's what separates him, and that's what makes his good so good, is because he knows how to do it. He knows how to turn it up. He knows how to do what the WWE does, where they have their slow months, and then when they need to turn it up, they turn it up. And that's what he does. And so going into the main event of SummerSlam, it is really nice that I don't know who's going to win. Now, I would think that, the way that Drew McIntyre called him out for not allowing it, not building anybody up and holding people down, that kind of thing, that Drew McIntyre maybe gets the win this month. And if doing so, it wouldn't surprise me if they fought again next month and Randy beat him. That being said, as hot as Randy Orton is right now, it could go the same way. Randy Orton could easily get that win, whether it's through some kind of shenanigans, some kind of straight up RKO in the middle of the ring out of nowhere. and become a 15-time world champ. I could absolutely see them booking it either way. I can see them going back at it the month after or the month after that. You know, I could see this rivalry lasting. I could see them trading championships. It's that unpredictability that is why I am excited about SummerSlam. You know, the last couple months when Drew McIntyre was fighting Dolph Ziggler, you knew Drew McIntyre wasn't going to lose. Now, if I was booking it, if I was in charge, I would have had him lose that first month. I would have had some kind of fluke thing where, you know, where Drew McIntyre just looked strong the whole match and Dolph rolled him up, or when they had that weapon stipulation, accidentally used a weapon, that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, like, and just taking that buzz of like, whoa, like something unexpected happened. And then, you know, you have that happen. And then the next month you have your rematch and Drew McIntyre crushes him in 20 seconds, 30 seconds and regains that momentum. But it gives the fans a chance to like think to yourselves, hey, maybe something, you know, unexpected will happen. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Unfortunately, the predictability level has been high, but hopefully it is not that high. I don't think it's very high for SummerSlam. I think, like I said, I think it's very unpredictable. I'm very much looking forward to it. So, share your thoughts. You know, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Continue to follow me. You know, I hope you're enjoying listening to the podcast under the Fight Bananas umbrella. Fight Bananas is blowing up right now. If you like wrestling, hopefully you'll like some UFC, some boxing, some, you know, mixed martial arts stuff. You know, check out all the podcasts on iHeartRadio, on iTunes, and YouTube, wherever you got to go, wherever you got to do to listen to it, make it work. So, thanks for tuning in. I am tapping out.